Welcome to the Talk of Champions live stream on YouTube. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com, a part of the Rivals.com network. Today, during the Alabama spring game, the Crimson defeated the White 24-12. We're going to break it all down, talk about what we learned from the spring game. And as you saw, the Crimson, they were led by redshirt freshman in quarterback Mack Jones, and had a nice game. Remember, we talked about that earlier in the week. We said Mack Jones was going to rise up, and he certainly did. He had an outstanding game, passing for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. But first, we got some recruiting to cover, because Alabama has been slicing through the recruiting rankings today. They landed another quarterback from the class of 2019 in Talia Tongo-Vailoa. Yeah, you know, the last name sounds familiar, right? It's because it's Tua's younger brother from the class of 2019. A big commitment for Alabama, and that's a second quarterback from the class of 2019, along with Paul Tyson, the great-grandson of Bear Bryant. So you think there's a quarterback battle now at Alabama? And just wait till Talia Tongo-Vailoa and Paul Tyson are both on campus next year, and as those guys start working to play for the quarterback position at Alabama. But let's bring in the clip right now of Chad Simmons of Rivals.com talking about Talia Tongo-Vailoa. I'm going to switch this clip up right now, and we'll get it going for you.
I had the chance to see Talia Tongo-Vailoa here recently, a big-time game, arguably top 2 teams in the state of Alabama. His team, Thompson, went on the road to defeat Hoover on a late touchdown drive that went the length of the field. He threw a touchdown pass with about 4 minutes to go to win that game. And what I saw there was, number one, he's competitive. He loves to compete. You know, there were some drops early on. He had some tough calls and got sacked a few times, but stayed positive, moved forward. And then, you know, as a quarterback, quick release, can move outside the pocket, can throw well on the run, throw with some touch as well. Has a lot of those intangibles you like as a quarterback and some real upside down the road.
All right, that was Chad Simmons of Rivals.com. I'm going to bring this out, and nice little breakdown on Talia Tongo-Vailoa, in case you missed it, the class 2019 quarterback committed to Alabama today. And let's start with breaking down this A-Day game. And as I said earlier, the Crimson defeated the White 24-12. This is a scoring summary. And as I read through the scoring summary, let's bring up some highlights from today's A-Day game. And I'll bring that up for you next. And I'll go over the scoring summary, and then we can continue on with the show. So let me swap this out. All right, here we go. All right. In the first quarter, Brian Robinson scored in a 1-yard touchdown run. Joseph Bolivas' PAT was good to make it 7-0. Crimson again scored to make it 14-0 off a 65-yard touchdown pass from Mack Jones, and that's when Townsend kind of spun off a defender, turned it upfield. Really nice looking play. Glad to see Townsend doing something. 14-0 at this point. Crimson led at that point. The White then finally got on the board off a 33-yard field goal from Joseph Bolivas. Had a nice day today, 33-yard field goal to make it 14-3. Joseph Bolivas then hit a 49-yard field goal. Kid can bang to make it 14-6. Still Crimson on top. Bolivas again with a 26-yard field goal in the third quarter to make it 14-9. And then guess what? More Bolivas. 35-yard field goal to make it 14-12. Crimson still leading, and another Joseph Bolivas field goal. Yeah, he had a lot of action today. This time for the White team to make it 17-12, and then the icing on the cake was Xavier Marks hauling in a 46-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Mack Jones to make it a 24-12 final. I'll just let these highlights play, and then we'll come back to the show and start breaking down this game a little bit. You know, I was really surprised with Mack Jones, and I know that we mentioned it earlier in the program. This is Brian Robinson right there. He looks fantastic right out of Hillcrest in Tuscaloosa. I think this next clip he's going to score a touchdown. But Mack Jones had a really nice day leading the offense. Now, he's not going against the number 1 defense. Jalen went against the number 1 defense, but don't take that against him. I mean, he played exceptional today, and I thought he handled the offense really well. That was a touchdown right there by Brian Robinson. On the flip side, as you saw, you know, Jalen Hurts, you know, he struggled, and you know, I'm not sure why. It didn't seem like it's almost like he regressed from last year. I mean, not a knock on him, but I mean, it didn't look good what we saw from Jalen. And I don't know if it was because of the comments that came from his pops, if he just wasn't feeling it right there. He gets wrapped up by that's Isaiah Buggs sacking Jalen Hurts. And I'm not, you got to also take into account that Jalen went against Alabama's #1 defense. And usually, as you know, defenses have a lot more camaraderie than the offense, especially early on. Isaiah Buggs, geez, number 49 with a big tackle. So I don't know. Jalen struggled on today. He was, he was 19 to 37 passing, 1 interception, 195 yards, 59 was his longest. Also ran the football 71 times off 15 carries. More Mack Jones. Dumping it out this time to Brian Robinson, who had a nice game. He actually had 6 receptions for 59 yards as well. More Mack Jones. I think this is that play. Check this out. This is Jadarius Townsend shaking off a defender, turning upfield, getting a nice block that looks like Major Tennyson on the block, then gets in the end zone for a score. So overall it was a great day for Mack Jones. And if you're just joining us, my name is Kyle Henderson. We're on YouTube Live. This is the Talk of Champions. I'm a staff member at BamaInsider.com. My job is the managing editor, so I kind of put everything together along with our team writer, Tony Sukalis, who has a great story up today from the recap, and then he also has a follow-up story on Jalen Hurts. And then Andrew Bone is our recruiting editor and manages all the recruiting information. In class of 2019, as we saw earlier in the program, really slamming right now for Alabama. Want to talk about some more stats from the game. I have the stat sheet. This is the official stat sheet. Let's see, bring that into focus, that they give to us at the end of each game. And I'll actually wanted to highlight the defense, because there was some guys on the Crimson that really, really jumped out to me today. And I'll go ahead and read those right now. You guys can post your comments if you have any in the comment box, and at the end of the show, I'll get to you if you have any. So just put your comments in the comments box, let them rest there, and then I'll get back to you. Thanks for joining us on the show as well. So for the Crimson team, check this out. Dylan Moses, 10 tackles on the day. I mean, the kid he's dynamite. He's going to have a big year. We saw him working a little bit with the outside linebackers, but I do like him as an inside linebacker along with Mack Wilson. 10 tackles on the day, only a sophomore. Trayvon Diggs had 9 tackles, 5 assists. 5 of those assisted tackles. He also had an interception for 27 yards. Raekwon Davis, big game. That's actually who I voted for the media MVP. 8 tackles, 2 sacks. I mean, between him, Moses, and the rest of Alabama's outside linebackers, I mean, and Isaiah Buggs, those guys are going to be ferocious. Mack Wilson had a nice day, 7 tackles. Isaiah Buggs played really, really well during the game today. Ended with 7 tackles and also had 2 quarterback sacks. Xavier McKinney, 6 tackles. Shaheen Carter, 6 tackles. A lot of guys getting some touches today. For the white team, leading the way was Joshua McMillan with 9 total tackles. Daniel Wright, 8 tackles, including 1 sack. Also, 2 sacks for LeBron Ray. LeBron Ray was nice. Very nice game from him today, along with Christopher Allen, who had 2 quarterback sacks as well. Overall for Alabama, as I mentioned, the Crimson was led by Mack Jones, who had a very nice day today. 23 of 35 passing, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, including that last flip to Xavier Marks for a 46-yard touchdown pass. Brian Robinson, I thought, had a very nice game. 6 receptions for 59 yards receiving-wise, and then rushing the football, he ran the football 7 times for 30 yards. On the white side, I liked what I saw from Harrison and Harris. Najee had 14 carries, 42 yards, and Damian Harris had 5 carries for 28 yards. After A-Day, we spoke with a couple players for Alabama, but the best clip that I found was Damian Harris talking about Mack Jones. Let's play that. These two are very tight. In fact, Damian refers to Mack Jones as his son. Mack Jones refers to Damian as his father. Just a funny deal that those two have. And I think what it is more than anything, Mack Jones is being mentored by Damian Harris, one of Alabama's marquee running back. So I'm going to bring that clip up now. And this was an interesting moment because Damian Harris, I'll paint the backstory real quick. Damian Harris is talking about Mack Jones and saying, you know, a lot of the talk is continually on Jalen and Tua, and no one's really talking about Mack Jones. And here he is having a great day, and his name should be mentioned in the quarterback conversation as well because the kid's been working, which I agree. He's definitely improved year over year, and I'm glad to see what he did today. So here's that clip of Damian Harris from earlier today after the spring game.
Going into summer and fall camp.
How proud were you of Mack?
It's my son, man. And you know, it's crazy. I told him I'm gonna go get my trophy from 2 years ago, and then we'll take a picture with his. It's like a father-son picture. Both being 8A MVPs. It'd be kind of cool. I wonder if that's ever happened before. Father and son both winning 8A MVP. I don't think it's ever happened.
But it's kind of cool because he has kind of flown under the radar a little bit.
I mean, he has, and we've always known that we've had a lot of guys that can play that position at a high level. So, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but a lot of the talk has been about Jalen and Tua. And, you know, one thing that me and him have talked about personally is, you know, every day just go to work, and you'll have the results that you want if you keep working hard, keep pushing, and just focus on controlling what you can control. And so I think he went out there and proved today that he can play. And he's a guy whose name should be talked about with, you know, our first two quarterbacks. So hopefully he'll start getting the recognition that he deserves.
Daniel, let's talk about Jalen and Tua. A lot of people, when they talk about this quarterback
we just talked about that.
When they talk about this quarterback issue, they point to the body of work that Jalen has put in, all the wins as a starter.
Yeah.
How much weight should be put on that, and how much weight should just be put on what happens in spring and what happens in the fall?
I mean, it kind of depends on who you ask, I guess. I mean, that's more of a question for Coach Saban. You know, obviously Jalen has a great body of work, and he's accomplished a lot of great things here. Tua obviously had a great second half in the national championship game, and so everybody knows he's a great player as well. But to be honest, all that stuff is in the past, and all that matters really is you know, how we progress moving forward, how both guys progress. So regardless of what either of them has done in the past, really, I don't really think that that's something that should be a deciding factor for either of them. I think that, you know, how both of them progress, and, you know, whoever is a better player, that's who the coach is going to put on the field. Because
great comments right there by Damian Harris, one of Alabama's most intellectual players on the team. Kid has a bright future, and I hope he has a big year. Damian Harris ran for 1,000 yards last year as a junior at Alabama, returned for a senior season. Nick Saban also provided his comments following the game, wanted to pipe in his comments, and then after that we can dissect it. I'll let you go. Won't keep you too long. I'm kind of spent as well. I've been at Bryant-Denny all day checking out Alabama's spring game. Thanks for joining us. Be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us an opportunity for your business at BamaInsider.com. That's where all our coverage is. We're going to have plenty of coverage following the game. We're going to have top 10 takeaways, a lot of recruiting coverage, as mentioned, with Talia Tonga-Valoa jumping on board, class of 2019. So let me bring up Nick Saban's comments real quick, and let me transition this out, and then we'll bring you right back after this.
Good. Well, I think all in all, we made a lot of progress this spring. I'm pleased with the progress that we made, a lot of positions in terms of player improvement. I'm not necessarily satisfied with where we are, nor should I think that anybody on our team should be satisfied with where we are. I think that every individual would be able to point to something that would be able to improve, you know, their performance. I think the biggest thing moving forward that we would like for the players to focus on is, you know, just 5 or 6 weeks that are coming up in college football is probably the time when players are away from each other more than any other time in the year. You know, we work out in the summertime, we have off-season program in the wintertime, we have spring practice in the spring, we have the season in the fall. But finishing finals is the most important thing right now, but then the players will be apart. So I think the most important thing for our players to do is focus on the individual improvements that they need to make, all right, so they have the best opportunity to outperform the people that they have to play against next year. And that starts with our first game against Louisville. But we have some great competition all year long in our league, so whoever we have to play against, and that should be what the players, the individual players, are looking to do, because those individuals' ability to do that and how much we can do that will certainly determine, how strong our team will be, because the individuals on our team will make the team be what it is. A little bit difficult, this spring with some of the players that we had out that are really good leaders and guys that really impact other people. But it created an opportunity for other players to have to step up and do that, and I was pleased with, the progress that we made in some of those areas. So, all in all, we made a lot of progress this spring. Not completely satisfied with where we are, but certainly excited about the opportunities that we have to try to improve, over the summer, and the individuals over the next 4 or 5 weeks on their own, so that, when we come into fall camp, we're going to, have a stronger team and more individuals that can go out there and play winning football.
Coach, we're going to start here on the left with Michael.
Yeah, how would you assess the play of the quarterbacks with Mack and Jalen today?
Well, we have the first offense playing against the first defense. All right, the first defense is probably a lot better than the second defense. And we probably have, if you're going to evaluate our team, we have a little less depth on defense based on all the players that we have that we lost. So I think that probably the second offense was a little bit better than the second defense. So when I say they were better, they were actually, better all the way around. They were better in pass protection. They were better in, terms of their production and performance, and that's why they won the game. I was not disappointed in the way Jalen played. I think, we've got some guys that can rush a little bit, and I think that even though we were rushing 4 guys most of the time, there was way too much pressure in the pocket for the quarterback to be able to operate like we'd like. I think Jalen made some good plays in the game and made some good throws. Obviously, I'm sure if you talk to him, he'd say there's things that I wish I could have done better and would improve on, and that's what we'll go to work on. So, but, we've been very pleased with the progress that Mack has made. So that's good for us, too. That gives us more depth at that position.
Coach, all the way back with Scott.
Hey, Nick. You always have a unique perspective in spring because you're behind the line. You have somebody relaying the calls to you. I'm just wondering what you look for with that perspective with 6, 7 new coaches and what you're looking for player-wise, too.
Well, the big thing I look for is we obviously simplify the game for the players. They probably had maybe 5 or 6 different calls that they could make on defense, most of them the most basic calls. We really limited the formations and plays that we could run on offense. Hopefully so that we would get better execution. So when I'm looking there, I'm really looking at how well did we execute fundamentally. And because I think in the end, that's what helps you play winning football. And there were times when I thought we executed really well. Obviously other times when we had some negative plays where there were things that we could have done better. But, all in all, I feel pretty good about what I saw out there today. But we obviously have some areas of our team that lack depth, so we're going to need to fix those either with players coming in or to improve the players we have. That's the only options that we have, and that's certainly what we'll go to work on trying to do.
Coach, right down front here with Blaine.
Coach, you talked about guys taking these next few weeks to get better. When you look at Jalen now, what do you want him to do in these next few weeks to get better?
Well, I think, Jalen, I think it's benefited him to have Dan Enos be his quarterback coach. I think that he gets a lot more feedback more quickly because he has somebody just watching him, and I'm talking about fundamentals now. And I think that he has a good understanding of the offense, and I think his ability to, make decisions, trust the pocket, are things that we want him to work on. Those things are not things that he can work on his own. And the things that he can work on his own is basic fundamental footwork and accuracy, which I think we'd want all of our quarterbacks to do over this time.
All right, so that was Nick Saban following A-Day, and if you want to watch that, you can just go to our YouTube channel and find the complete stream of Nick Saban's press conference. We stream those after every single game. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com, live here on the Talk of Champions YouTube. Be sure and give us a follow on Twitter as well. Twitter /Bama Insider, but all our coverage is on BamaInsider.com. We really love for you to give us an opportunity to earn your business. If you got some questions right now, it'd be some good times before I kick it out and I turn out, man. I'm spent. So if you have any questions, pop them on in there, and we'll end the show. Excuse me, with us playing a little chat back and forth. And while you guys are doing that, I just go back to the quarterbacks again. Jalen Hurts numbers: 1937 passing, 195 yards, was sacked, if you can believe this, 7 times. But on the flip side, Mack Jones was sacked 6 times. So is that a good defense or some offensive line needs some tweaking before week 1? Devontae Smith, who had the game winner in the national championship game, caught 5 receptions for 87 yards. I figured Henry Ruggs might be targeted a little bit more. Maybe he was. I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape. 2 receptions for 28 yards. For the Crimson, Xavier Marks had 5 receptions for 85 yards. Heard he's been having a nice little summer. Who impressed you the most today? Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I think Mack Jones is the obvious, but how about Joseph Bolivas? I mean, he was nailing those field goals, wasn't he? I mean, he had a 49-yarder. He had a 48-yarder. 33-yarder, 35-yarder. I mean, kid can bang, and that's one of the areas that I wanted to see going into A-Day was a lot of the special teams game because, as you know, Alabama, they lost their kickers, they lost their punters. Also felt that Skylar DeLong did a pretty good job today. 5 punts, 200 yards, longest to 40. So it was nice to see a young freshman like that step up and do the job. I mean, there's a big difference between Skylar DeLong and J.K. Scott, but it's hard to compare a freshman against J.K. Scott, who's going to be playing in the NFL. Jalen did nothing to help him get the start. I completely agree. I mean, he struggled today. I think it was interesting to hear Saban's comments that Saban, was somewhat pleased with his performance because I think it was evident that, he wasn't seen downfield. He was quick to get out of the pocket. Now we have to remember, as I said earlier in the show, Jalen's going against the first-team Alabama defense. The first-team Alabama defense, these are the guys he's facing. Quinnen Williams, Raekwon Davis, Isaiah Buggs. Those guys are coming downhill, and they're coming hard. And they're going to give every single offensive line trouble. But with that said, Jalen is now in his 3rd year at Alabama, should be used to that sort of speed. So I was surprised that he did struggle so much, and he was quick to take off from the pocket. I will say this, though, about Jalen. There was a couple of times where he scrambled out, and, of course, you can't hit the quarterback, but he is fast. I mean, his speed is just so explosive. I mean, he can turn it up the field and get 20, 25, 35 yards in a blink. All right, here we go. A lot of stuff on Jalen here in the chat. The first-team defense will make anyone look. That's what I'm saying, Chris. I mean, I think that Jalen certainly struggled, but that defense is just going to be so dominant this year. I want to see the secondary continue to improve. I think that's one area that everybody's asking about. But I mean, as long as that, the front 7 with Alabama coming at you and whoever they put, I mean, Dylan Moses, Mack Wilson, those outside linebackers, all those guys can rush the football. They're going to give quarterbacks hell this year. Let's see. Any more commits this weekend coming? Probably. I mean, Alabama's been on such a hot streak right now. Let me see if I can bring up the class of 2019 on this video deal real quick because then we can go through the list. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Give me 1 second. Because Alabama's been landing, their class 2019 class is, it's not just on fire. And I like what these younger coaches on Twitter are doing too. They're really getting after it. So let me see if I can bring up the commitment list on this, and then we can go over it together. So let me see. All right. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to get this into the frame for you. All right. There we go. How about that? Can you guys see that? All right. So let's see. Bring that up a little bit. So this is okay. So Talia Tungavailoa joins the class, quarterback, 4-star. out of the Birmingham area. Obviously, he was from Hawaii. Shane Lee was before that, 6 foot, 235-pound linebacker, from another 4-star out of Baltimore. Believe he's from the same school as Yabi Anoma, who will be on campus this summer. Christian Williams, a defensive back out of Davine, Alabama, 6'1", 175 pounds. All these guys are recent, within the month of April. Paul Tyson out of Hewitt-Trussville, quarterback, great-grandson of Bear Bryant, 6'4", 210 pounds. Rashad Cheney out of Georgia, 6'3", 263 pounds. These guys are all 4-stars. Probably a couple of them will probably get 5 stars. That'll probably happen, within the next, the next couple months. And of course, we have the Rivals 5-Star Challenge, which will be in the month of June. Brandon Turnage out of Oxford, Brennan Gant out of Florida, King Migatua. How do you say his name? I'll have to ask Andrew Bone on that. 6'4", 220 pounds. And then Pierce Quick out of Trussville. Pierce Quick, the kid has been recruiting for Alabama. He committed, I believe, last A-Day, I think that was, if you guys remember way back then. And, he jumped on board. And he's really been someone who's been recruiting very well for Alabama in the class of 2019, and also recently shut down his recruiting process. Now, you got to remember, with these guys being committed, nothing's official until they sign that dotted line. So things can change. It'll be interesting to see if Alabama can hold on to those 2 quarterbacks, Talia Tagovailoa and Paul Tyson. I think they will, because Alabama didn't land a quarterback in this last class. So we'll see what happens with the class of 2019 in terms of quarterback. I'll bring this back up real quick. If you guys got any questions, get them in, and we'll close up shop. I'll close it out, and I'll catch up with you guys probably the next couple days. Tony Sokalis and I will probably get together and kind of do a spring wrap-up or something like that. Mack Jones, let's see, Bama fan says that Jalen's trash. Jalen, what he's done for this program, you can't just throw him out, especially going against the defense. But like a lot of people have said, Jalen didn't do, what needed to be done to really solidify that starting spot going into the year. When do you think Tua will be back at practice? That's a really good question. I would say, he's definitely going to be back by August. Think about from now until August, all Tua has to do is get stronger, get healthy, get going, and he's going to be back. And I was really disappointed that we didn't get to see Tua today, because I wanted to see the kid spin it. I wanted to see how much he's progressed since the national title game. I wanted to see him and Jalen go at it head to head. But I'm glad Mack Jones really stepped up. Let me read this comment. Yeah, you guys seem to forget Jalen came in and beat 4 quarterbacks, been here for years and couldn't get it done. Barnett, Cornwell, and others. Yeah, you're right. Jalen is a quarterback, 26-2. But a lot of people will say, well, the defense is really 26-2. I think it's a team game, as we've talked about before. In the quarterback battle, it didn't end today. It's going to linger. It's going to linger all summer. We're going to talk about this all summer long. I know I've said earlier in past shows that I think I'd be pretty confident that Jalen would start. I'm not so sure after today, to be honest, and especially with the recent comments of Jalen's dad. I don't know. I'm gonna have to sleep on that one. And we have to also see if Tua's gonna be healthy, right? But I am happy that Mack Jones came in and did his thing. Here are his stats one more time in case you missed it. 23 of 35, 289 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns. What do you think will, in terms of recruiting from 2019? I'm not sure. That's probably a question for Andrew Bone. You have to dig over to Bama Insider and then just hop down on the recruiting side, and he's got all that slammed. And I'm going to be linking up with him. Hopefully I can bring him in for a show to answer your recruiting questions. I think that would be pretty cool. But I have to be honest, man. I'm spent. I need some rest. I need some sleep. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. All our stuff is on BamaInsider.com. Be sure and subscribe. And you can also subscribe to BamaInsider.com. From Tuscaloosa, Alabama, This is the Talk of Champions live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Be good people. I appreciate you guys following us, giving us an opportunity. We're new at this, so all feedback, good and bad, is welcome. We'll try to increase our game. This is the Talk of Champions. You guys need to have something delivered on a high-end level all the time. You guys are Alabama fans. You guys, expectations are through the roof, all right? So good night from Tuscaloosa. I'll catch up with you guys soon, and you can always find me back at BamaInsider.com. Good night, everyone.